Hey guys, so I have two left after I finish the sweater, and if you haven't seen the sweater, I will link the sweater somewhere around. That was the video uploaded last week. So I have two more left, so I just thought I should make something that would go with the jacket, but again, this is not going to be enough to make a skirt. So the next thing that I thought about was to make a headband because it's cold and it's just nice to cover your ears when you're going outside, just so you don't get sick. So I just thought I should use these two to make a headband before I forget and abandon this. This is a fluffy yarn. In case you haven't seen the other video, it is a fluffy and this is a medium weight yarn. I will be combining these two. I also think this is going to feel so soft around the ears, so I just thought, oh, perfect. I'm also going to be using a 5mm and I will be using the slip stitch method, like you guys have already seen from the intro. So let's go to the table and get started. To get started, I am going to use a 5mm and I'm just going to make a slip knot and chain a total of 19 chains. You can make this longer if you want to, you can make this shorter if you want to as well. After my 19 chain, this is what I have, but because we're using a slip stitch, this is eventually going to get smaller. So for the next row, the first row, you are going to go into the second chain with a slip stitch, and to work a slip stitch is you're going to insert your crochet hook into that chain, grab the yarn, and you are going to pull through all two of the loops on the crochet hook. But because this is a slip stitch, you want to use a loose method, because if your method is tight, you are going to find it difficult to get through the stitches in the next row. So right there you can see that there is a gap in the crochet hook, and I think that is just going to help you for the next few rows. So you're going to go into the next chain, grab the yarn, you're going to pull, and you make sure you pull through that loop that is also on the crochet hook. Again, you're going to go into the next chain, grab the yarn, pull through all two, and also again, don't forget to make sure you're using a loose tension for this. So you're going to repeat one slip stitch into every chain until you get to the very end. So right here I just ended off my row. You should have a total of 18 stitches at the very end. For row 2, you are going to chain 1 and turn, and we are going to work the same slip stitch method, but we are going to work that into the back loop. So all you're going to do is you're going to straighten this just so you make sure you are going to insert the next stitch into the correct space. So we are going to go into the back loop. So usually you have two loops, a front and a back. You're going to go into that very first loop of the back, and you are going to do a slip stitch the same method, still keeping a loose tension, because that is going to make it super easy for you to get through your stitches. And repeat one slip stitch into every back loop until you get to the very end. You can count your stitches or mark your very first stitch just so you can identify where you are. So it will be easy for you to identify where you increase, where your stitch starts and where your stitch actually ends. So at the end of the row, I should still have a total of 18 stitches. You can also count your stitches also, that will be super easy as well. And because this is a slip stitch method, it's going to work up so very fast. And also don't forget to go into that last stitch with your last slip stitch, because if you skip it, you will be decreasing. And at the end of the row, you should have something like this. For the next row, you're going to chain one as well, turn, and into the back loop, you're going to go with your first slip stitch and one slip stitch into every loop until you get to the very end. I also wanted to mention that you can definitely use an after hook crochet for this method, or a single crochet. I just wanted to use a slip stitch in the back loop because I feel like I wanted to go for a neat look, and obviously this pattern does look like a knit pattern when it's complete. So you don't have to do this. If you don't want to, you can just use a single crochet or a half double crochet to get this panel complete. So just repeat one slip stitch into every stitch in the back loop, and when you get to the end you're going to chain one, of course, and repeat this all over again until you have a band that can go around your head. You guys will see in the next clip what mine looks like. So I just finished my band. I can't really tell how many rows I did. You guys know it's a slip stitch row, so I could not keep up with the numbers. So you just want to make sure you have this band to fit your ears. See, here to here you can see there's a space right there in front, but you want to leave a gap because when you stretch this, it is eventually going to fit. And you guys know, like with slip stitch, it is super stretchy, so you will be safe. I'll just suggest you leave maybe a 2 inches gap around your head like this. So now that I have the band complete, I will be just slip stitching the two ends together. So basically like this, and you can also use a needle for this method, and you just attach. I think I'm going to end up using a needle. I am going to use this needle, and because I still have like a yarn left, like a string, I don't have to make another knot. I will just suggest you, when you're cutting off the end, leave like a long chain or a long, what is this called, guys? I don't know. Just leave a long loop, or I don't know, like, and then attach the needle. So the needle is now attached. I'm just gonna go through the very first stitch on one panel on one side and the other side, and I will sew this through. Super simple, just like that. So you want to make sure the last row you make a knot, the last stitch. And also, if you're slip stitching this, then you don't even have to do anything. Just do the usual thing. And I'm just gonna sew now the yarn and cut the yarn off. So we should have something like this. And let me put this on so we see exactly what it looks like. So this is what it looks like now. I think it's nice, but I just think it's boring. And I feel like I can do something else with it. So that's what we're gonna do. So grab your fluffy yarn, and then you are going to attach that to one end of the panel with a secure knot. And for this I'm using a 3.5, and I did use a 5mm for this pattern, this band, so keep that in mind. So now we are going to just go ahead and go into that stitch and pull through. I like to just chain one, and from here on I'm going to just work a double crochet into every available space around the band. And to do this, you don't really want to make sure there's gap in between your stitches, but at the same time, if you look well, I know this is a fluffy yarn, so you can't really see exactly what I'm doing, but if you look well, you don't want to make sure there's a gap in between your stitches, but at the same time you're not inserting more than one double crochet in any available space. So you're going to just continue like I'm doing now with one double crochet into every available space, and this is what it looks like so far, all around, until you get back to the very beginning. So we are going to go above the previous row with our next row, and this is what you're going to obviously repeat. So right here you can see that I have my last stitch. You can't really see because of the fluffiness of this yarn, so please listen and I'll try to edit this in a way. So right there my last stitch, and this here is my first stitch. So what I'm going to do is just yarn over and go into that very first space with my next double crochet, and I'm just going to use the method of going above the previous row with my next row. So you're just going to fill and insert one double crochet into every double crochet you did from the previous row. And again, you want to make sure you're not increasing or decreasing, and also because it's a fluffy yarn, you will have to fill your stitches instead of just you can see obviously, but you probably cannot see from the view or from the camera, but you have to just fill your stitches. That way you're not increasing and also you are not decreasing. And I also would suggest you crochet this fluffy yarn with a tighter tension. So I'm just going to repeat this, and when I get to the very beginning, I am also going to go right above this previous row for my next row, and you want to make sure that this is the same length as the band. So basically you want to make sure when you flip this over, it actually gets all the way up to the band, because that's the method we're going to use. So it's going to be a flip over band method. So I'm going to repeat, just going to repeat this all around, and I'll see you guys when it's complete. I finished the the fluffy. I finished the fluffy side yesterday, and this is what we have now. Looking at this, it looks like a a neck panel that is going to be worked into a sweater. So I don't know how I feel about it, but this is how it looks. And again, like I said, you just want to make sure that the fluffy panel is as long as the ripped band of your headband. And then when you finish that, all you're going to do is just attach the band to the end to the band. So when you want to wear this, you can wear this with the fluffy side being outside or with the band being out. Again, you know that I did go above the previous row for the next row, so I was not slip stitching into anything. So the way to identify where to end off your last row is basically where this band, which the seam where you actually started, then you would know if that aligns with the panel that you're about to that you created. So now we are going to now go into that space that I have, and I'm going to attempt to attach this side of the panel, the fluffy side, to the band area. And to do that, I'm going to attempt to use a slip stitch method just so I can see what it looks like, but I think this will work perfectly. And for reference, I'm still using the 3.5 to do this. So I'm going to just go into the next available space on the fluffy yarn and then on the band and slip stitch that together. So just make my way up with one double crochet and one available space on the band, and you just slip stitch these two together. Super simple. You can also use a needle for this, but I think this method works fine. So just make your way up to one available space on the band and on the fluffy side and slip stitch the two together, just the way you would attach any item together. This is the same thing that I'm doing, and this is going to just make sure that it's sealed. So if you decide to wear the band on this side, you can, and if you decide to wear it on this side, you can do so as well. So this is what I'm going to repeat all around until I get to the very end. When you get to the end, you guys can see that everything fits, and I think a slip stitch is just perfect for this method. You are just going to cut off the yarn and sew in the excess yarn, and at this point it is complete. So I'm just gonna sew in and just like that, it is complete. This is what it looks like from the fluffy side, and then you can turn this over, flip this over, and then you get a brand new band. Let me put this on now and I'll see what it looks like on my head. You guys will see what. So she is complete. So let's put this on and see what it looks like. I think I should just put on the sweater as well, just to be safe, and then because that's the vibe, honestly. If this was in black, then I have a lot of options, and I think I might make one in black as well. But because making one in black and give you guys a tutorial is just not a good idea. But this is what it looks like, and from the back. And of course, you can just flip this over if you want to go for a different vibe, and boom, you have a whole different headband. This is so cute. This is so cute. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did make yourself one, tag me on Instagram as always, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.